Alright, David Harry here, and the question here is this: can we install the Final Cut Pro version of the app for the iPad onto a MacBook? Well, I don't know right now, but let's find out. Okay, so I am now on my MacBook Pro and I am on the App Store. And as you can see here, I have done a search for Final Cut Pro and it has come up with Final Cut Pro, but this is obviously the version for the Mac. However, because I am on an Apple Silicon device here, I may be able to download the version for the iPad. So let me switch over to this, and unfortunately, it doesn't come up here as a download for the MacBook. However, I have now connected my iPad Pro to my MacBook Pro and I've just launched iMazing. So we are looking at iMazing now. And as you can see here, this is telling me that I've got Final Cut Pro on my iPad Pro. So what I'm going to do here is right click and select Export IPA. So what this is going to do is to extract the IPA installer file for Final Cut Pro, and it will save it on my MacBook, and hopefully I can then launch it from my MacBook and install it on the MacBook. Okay, so Export IPA, and I'm just going to put that to the desktop. Okay, so as we can see here, there is the IPA file for the Final Cut Pro installer for the iPad. So let me just double click on this and let's see if it installs. Oh, preparing to install. That's looking good. Okay, so what's this saying here? Final Cut Pro requires a newer version of macOS. You need to update this Mac to a version of macOS compatible with iOS Final Cut Pro apps to install this app. Okay, so that's kind of good news actually. It just means that I've got to update my operating system here, so give me a moment. Okay, so there is actually an update available for my MacBook to take it up to Ventura 13.4. So what I'm going to do is just update this and then come back after the update. Okay, so as we can see here, I am now fully updated to the latest version of macOS, which is exactly what that message was telling me to do before in order to be able to do the install for the Final Cut Pro for iPad IPA. Now, just before I do try reinstalling the IPA file, maybe now that I am on the most recent macOS version, maybe I can now see it in the App Store. Okay, so as we can see, I'm on the App Store. I've typed in Final Cut Pro. Of course, we can still see it here available for the Mac, which we obviously would do. Now, let's see what happens when I switch over to iPhone and iPad apps. Okay, it still doesn't show up here, so let me try reinstalling that IPA file. Okay, so I'm just going to relaunch the IPA file. Preparing to install. Installing Final Cut Pro. Oh, what? Unable to install Final Cut Pro. This application cannot be installed because the developer did not intend for it to run on this platform. Okay, so I don't understand this, because when I tried to install it just before, it just said all I had to do was to update to the latest version of macOS and then I would be able to install it. Obviously, I can't. Anyways, that's really disappointing. So for anybody who was wondering whether or not you could install the Final Cut Pro for iPad app on an Apple Silicon Mac, no, you can't. So don't even bother trying. Anyways, if you've liked the video, give it a thumbs up. A sub to the channel would be absolutely awesome. I'm David Harry. Thank you very much for watching this video. Take care and goodbye now.